It all starts with a little kid named Steve. Even as a child, Steve dreamed of being the best miner ever. He loved building, digging, and discovering new things. But every time he tried to enter the local mine, a grumpy old man stopped him. The rule was clear. Kids weren't allowed. Years passed, and Steve finally grew up, but life didn't go the way he wanted. He ended up working a boring job, selling doorknobs. Every day felt the same, and he felt like his dream was slipping away. One day, while eating lunch alone, he remembered that dream. Something inside him sparked. He decided to go back to the mine. This time, he wouldn't let anything stop him. The old man was still there, but Steve pushed past and began digging like crazy. Deep in the mine, he found two strange cubes, a crystal cube and the creation cube. When he put them together, a portal opened to a magical world, the Overworld. There, he met a pink sheep. Using its wool, he built 3 amazing houses and started living the life he always wanted. One day, a wild wolf tried to attack him. Steve gave it a juicy bone and made it his friend. He named the wolf Dennis. From then on, they were best buddies. Together, they built cool things, made peace with animals, and created a beautiful world. Time passed. Steve kept building and exploring. One day, he found some old ruins. Inside a chest, he discovered another portal. This one led to a dark place called the Nether. It was full of mean, pig-like creatures called piglins, who followed an evil sorceress named Malgoya. Malgoya had a sad past. She wanted to be a dancer, but her people laughed at her and kicked her out. Angry and hurt, she turned mean and now wanted the creation cube to control all worlds. Steve escaped with the orb and gave it to Dennis. He told him to hide it where no one would ever find it. Dennis ran across worlds and buried it under Steve's waterbed. The main world was safe, for now. Years later, a young guy named Garrett became super famous for starring in a video game. He was called the Trash Man because he could throw garbage with perfect aim. He got rich and had it all, until he suddenly got evicted. Just like that, he lost everything. Broke and desperate, Garrett went to an auction to find something he could sell, but auction manager told him about a strange artifact that might be valuable. He bought it for $900, hoping to sell it for cash, but when he opened the box, it looked empty. He thought he got scammed and slammed it shut, without realizing the creation cube was hidden inside. Later, we meet Henry and his big sister Natalie. Their mom had passed away, and they had just moved to the city. Natalie got a small job to pay rent, and a kind real estate agent named Dawn helped them settle in. The next morning, Natalie made pizza for Henry to take to school, and even gave him cologne as a gift. Henry didn't say much. He was still sad and nervous. While walking, he stopped by Garrett's shop. He offered him a slice of pizza for advice. Garrett, always joking, said he charged $50 an hour for life lessons. When Garrett tries to explain, Henry ignores him and leaves to school. There, the vice principal told him about her sad marriage and gave him a name tag. Meanwhile, in class, their teacher asked them to draw an orange and a banana. But Henry tries to draw a rocket with those. Teacher scolds him. Seeing this, Henry's classmate make fun of him. To prove it, Henry starts building a rocket, but Henry messed up while helping with a jetpack model, and it went flying out of control, crashing into the building where Natalie worked. The principal called for Henry's guardian. Henry panicked and called Garrett, asking him to pretend to be his uncle. Garrett agreed, for $26 in cash. Garrett saved Henry from the principal, and the two of them went to Garrett's shop. While they were there, Henry saw a strange cube on a table and asked what it was. Garrett said he wasn't sure. There was a note on a page nearby. It clearly said, "Do not combine the cubes." But Garrett and Henry didn't listen. Curious, they went to an old mine to test it. At the same time, Natalie realized Henry was missing and asked Dawn for help. Dawn tracked his phone, and they rushed to the mine. When they got there, the cube was glowing. It pulled Henry in. Natalie and Dawn grabbed him, and all of them got sucked into the portal. Now, in the overworld, Garrett bragged about being a game legend. They met the pink sheep, but also noticed a villager had followed them through the portal, crossing into Earth. Back in the Nether, Malgoya was angry. Her piglins couldn't find gold, and she threatened to turn them into pork chops. Suddenly she felt a signal. The orb was active again. She visited Steve, who was still her prisoner. She offered him a deal: give back the orb, or Dennis would suffer. In the overworld, Garrett was trying to impress the pink sheep, but it soon turned to night. Suddenly, Dennis showed up, growling. The sheep got scared and ran away. Then monsters started to come: skeletons, spiders, zombies, and creepers. Everyone ran. Henry stayed calm and started building defenses. Garrett hid until a creeper exploded near him. He screamed, giving away his spot. The pink sheep was captured. Just in time, Steve arrived and saved them all with amazing skill. When the sun rose, the zombies burned away. Steve told them he needed the Orb of Dominion. He said he would help them get home, but he would keep the orb. They had a problem. The crystal cube was missing. Without it, there was no way back. They had to find it or try another way. Meanwhile, the group found a peaceful village with nice villagers, a wise llama, a strong iron golem, and a legendary pig. They ate roast chicken to relax. Steve warned them it was cooked over lava, still super hot. Garrett ate it anyway to show off. Meanwhile, in the Nether, Malgoya had had enough. She called her strongest general, Chungus, a powerful but kind piglin. She gave him a magic nether wart to keep him safe from turning into bacon. His mission: get the orb, no matter what. Back in the overworld, the group headed to the mansion. They found Steve's magic inventory full of tools and gear. Garrett used the ender pearl without knowing it was the last one. Steve showed them how to craft tools. Garrett made a weird one, but it kind of worked. Henry made a gadget using real-world stuff and Minecraft blocks. Garrett later asked Steve about a hidden message he found in the orb. Steve admitted he had diamonds, but they were deep in a mine. So, off to the mine they went. But just before they left, piglins attacked. General Chungus met Steve and introduced himself politely, but with a serious tone. Steve tried to lead, but Garrett jumped in, trying to be a hero. He missed his attack and hit Steve instead. Chungus didn't even flinch. A big fight broke out. The group got split up. Natalie and Dawn went one way, Garrett and Henry went another. Before they ran, they all agreed to meet again at the mansion. To help everyone escape, Steve handed out some flying wings, but he only had 2 pairs. So, in a surprise move, he tackled Garrett and took off, flying through the sky together. Next came a crazy air chase. They flew through walls, dodged attacks, and escaped from the piglin army. Finally, Steve and Garrett used their water drop move and splashed safely into a lake, completely unharmed. Back on Earth, the villager who crossed through the portal got hit by the principal's car. She panicked and invited him to dinner to avoid a lawsuit. Meanwhile, in the overworld, Steve talked about Malgoya. Long ago, she wanted to be a dancer. She was amazing. Her moves were beautiful. But her father didn't like it and kicked her out. After that, she gave up on anything creative. Now, if she gets the orb, she'll destroy the overworld and everyone in it. Back in the Nether, Malgoya was angry. Chungus had failed her, and she was done being patient. She released her most powerful weapon, the Great Pig, a huge beast with a new brain. It woke up in a rage and crushed General Chungus in one stomp. Elsewhere, Natalie and the real estate agent, Dawn, met someone surprising. Dennis, Steve's wolf. Dawn offered him a bone, and he trusted her. Knowing he belonged to Steve, the girls decided to follow him. Meanwhile, underground, the guys finally found the diamond cave. But Steve smelled something awful. It was netherwort. That could only mean one thing. The Great Pig had arrived. Steve told the others to head to the safe room. They jumped in mine carts and took off. But right when they needed power, the redstone ran out. The carts stopped in front of their creeper farm. Then the Great Pig showed up, angry and roaring. With no way out, Steve and Garrett made a bold choice. They activated all the creepers. The explosion shook everything. They made it out alive, but just barely. Afterward, Henry yelled at Garrett for losing the diamonds. Garrett went quiet. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the school principal was on a surprise date with the villager she had hit with her Jeep. Over dinner, she shared that she was recently divorced. Her ex-husband just didn't have a personality. Meanwhile, in Overworld, they started planning a mansion break-in. Steve said the mansion had 3 levels. First, strong villagers who were trained to fight. Next, evokers, dark wizards who could summon monsters. And at the top, the Enderman crystal, guarded by the Enderman himself, a quiet but dangerous protector. Before they could act, the villagers captured the adults and threw them into an underground fight club. Garrett got pushed into the ring. His opponent? A tiny zombie riding a fierce chicken. It looked silly but fought like crazy. At the same time, Henry snuck to the top floor and met Enderman. It was dark, creepy, and they had to battle. But Henry won. His prize? A teleportation sphere. It lets him jump across the world instantly. After escaping the mansion, the group ran into Malgosha. She used her magic to take the creation cube and the Enderman crystal. Then she disappeared into the nether. Steve and Henry tried to run. Steve set off a huge explosion, his last chance to stop Malgosha. The blast threw everyone in different directions. Steve woke up because Dennis helped him. Henry was hurt, but still alive. Not far away, they saw a small mushroom house. Dawn had built it as a safe place to rest. Reunited with Natalie and Dawn, they saw how bad things had gotten. Malgosha's darkness was spreading fast. It was time to fight back. They made stronger tools. Henry upgraded the iron golems with speed boosters. Now they had a fast, powerful army. The war began. Malgosha sent out the Great Pig again. But the heroes had their own secret weapon. A giant golem made from a super strong metal. The 2 monsters battled, shaking the whole world. Steve faced Malgosha in diamond armor with a massive sword. She used dark magic, but he stood strong. With their last bit of strength, the heroes worked together. They destroyed Malgosha's machines and threw the orb into the abyss. Light came back. The overworld was healing. But then, the Great Pig caught the orb. Hope faded, until the ultimate golem landed one final blow, smashing the beast and taking back the orb. Now came the final fight. Steve stood in front of Malgosha. She was weak. She tried to fool him 3 times, but Steve stopped every attack. In the end, he didn't hurt her. He turned and walked away, leaving her to live with her loss. With peace restored, Steve said goodbye to his friends. He asked Henry to stay in the overworld, but Henry smiled and said he was going home. Steve nodded and gave Dennis to Dawn. He hugged Garrett, thanked Natalie and Dawn, and watched them walk through the portal. Then Steve turned, took a deep breath, and stepped through the portal to Earth. Days later, everything changed. Garrett's shop was booming. He became a business and gaming pro. The whole group made a new video game based on their adventure. Life was awesome. Dawn stopped working in real estate and started going on adventures full-time with Dennis by her side. Natalie opened a self-defense school and became a hero in her town. Henry? He finally built his jetpack and flew across the skies, living his dream.